Hey y'all, I want to talk about something that's disturbing me a little bit. And I alluded to this last time in the video that I recorded yesterday. At the end of the video, I spoke to this issue a little bit. But there seems to be this roiling hatred in many quarters. And I don't think I'm overstating it when I call it hatred. This roiling hatred of Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk. And I find it disturbing. Um, well, let me explain what I'm talking about here. Of course, the left hates her. Of course, they do because they're feral, as we've seen. They're animals. They're feral. They're murderous. They and I say that I say the left with an asterisk, for not all, of course, because I know they're not all like this, but there's too many of them who are, and the ones who should be calling out the ones who are like that aren't doing so adequately right now. So it's not really a surprise that these people would, after the murder of a man that they hate, and whose death they celebrated shamelessly, showing their faces, revealing their identities, as I've talked about and as I've written about. I've written an article about it on Substack. The whole phenomenon of the almost demonic element of the left. Not even almost demonic. I mean, I can't declare that it is for sure demonic, but it just screams that out to me when I see these videos. It looks like that's what it looks like to me. I think about somebody in an exorcism, screaming inhumanly and cackling, horribly, and but anyway, of course the left hates her, and they're making fun of her. They're making videos mocking her, and they're calling, a lot of them are calling for her murder, and so forth and so on. But unfortunately, we kind of expect that from the feral, murderously terroristic left that seems to have gained a lot of sway amongst the left in general right now. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing copious amounts of hatred for Erika Kirk coming from the right as well, and it's mostly I think it's probably all from people who don't accept the official story about Charlie Kirk's murder. And I'm fine with not accepting the official story of Charlie Kirk's murder. As I've said before, I'm on board with the official story more or less, but I'm open to possibilities. Maybe Mossad did it, but I find the solid evidence for that sorely lacking. And that's where I stand right now. But other people feel differently, and I understand why they do, and that's fine. The problem is that I'm seeing a lot of these people on the right going after Erika Kirk, viciously attacking this woman who lost her husband, lost the love of her life, just a little over 2 weeks ago. He was alive, and then he suddenly, shockingly, was gone. He was in the bloom of youth, doing what he loved, and they were all evidence. If you watch any videos of the two of them together, they seem very much in love. There's a really there's a spirit of you can tell when a couple enjoys being around each other, and there's a lightheartedness and a banter, and but also you get the impression that they just adored each other, and it was wholesome. It's a wholesome thing, which is what troubles me so much. This, call me a simp if you want, but I think a widow or a widower, for that, either way, if this were a man who'd lost his wife suddenly in this way, I would say let's rally around this guy. Let's give this guy some latitude. If he wants to fucking forgive his wife's killer, if that's helpful for him, and if he sees it as in accord with the faith that he tries to practice, and in accord with what his wife would have wanted, then let him fucking forgive his wife's killer. Okay, it's not up to you, and I'm just reversing the genders to see, because to sound less simpish, or try to show that I'm not really. It's not about Erika Kirk being a woman. It's about the what do I call it? The heartbreak that one suffers when one loses, one's the love of one's life. I saw it. Not to get too personal here, but I saw this with my father when my mother died last year. Now the difference was they had a long life together. My mother lived a long and good life. I think she could have lived longer. Should have lived longer, but in any case, when she died, I was desolated. My father was desolated by the loss. Our whole family, my kids, we were all desolated. Even my ex-wife, that they were still close. So, but that was a situation where she was lost. We're talking about a woman aged 82, who dies at age 82. With Charlie Kirk, we're talking about a man in the bloom of youth with all his years ahead of him, so much promise, and these two seemed like they were still in a honeymoon phase in some ways. I'm sure all couples have disagreements, and I don't want to sugarcoat anything, but anyway, she lost the love of her life. All right, whether you think she wears too much makeup, whether you are just look down on her because she was or you see her as trampy because she was Miss Arizona, because she competed in beauty pageants and things like that, and posed in a bikini, and a few years ago, or you think she wears too much makeup, or you don't like the way that she talks, you don't like the way that she expresses herself when she talks. This is the kind of stuff I've heard, people saying things like, oh well, I bet that she doesn't even care about Charlie. I bet that I bet she was in on it. See, what I've observed happen among conspiracy people, a lot of them, is, you don't want to believe the official story. Great. You've got a lot of reason to doubt the official story. All right. So, Godspeed, go look into all the nooks and crannies and see what pops up, and if something draws your attention, then call attention to it, and I'm open to what you have to say. But there was all this stuff about how, oh well, I bet they were never like people just presuming that because their parents both had certain connections to the power structure, that probably they were just paired together and were never an actual couple, were never really in love. This was all just a contrived thing. And now that he's dead, I've heard, I heard when I heard Nick Fuentes say this, I just thought, man, Nick, that's so out of line. But I'm not. I mean, but I don't know whether I'm in the minority on this. When I heard him say, that she probably got together with some speech writers and they decided that she was going to say that she forgave him because that's what would really make the speech pop, and that's what would really sell the whole thing, and what have you. Just this totally cynical take with really no substance behind it, no substance whatsoever behind this assertion, other than you don't like her, other than what is it? Is it because she wears too much makeup? Is it because she was in beauty pageants? Is it because you think she's fake, or in the way that she talks? In any, like, there's no, what disturbs me about all of this is there's no it's the very opposite of what I was saying earlier. If you see a widow or a widower talking about someone in that state of pain, wounded in that kind of way, that person deserves carte blanche. It doesn't mean, I don't mean to say they can say anything at all, but I mean, that person, you should back off of that person for at least a couple of months, for at least a month, right? But it's not even 2 weeks later, and she's receiving all this hate from everywhere, from the left, of course, but also from a lot of the people that I would say that I'm politically and socially and philosophically aligned with. And it's worse than, I was going to say irksome. It's worse than irksome. I think it's deplorable. I think it's just, it's so out of line. I didn't think her asking for or she didn't ask for forgiveness. She asked for us to forgive him. She said, "I forgive him," and she grounded that in the faith that she had, and she grounded that in the fact that she wanted to, be a good successor to her husband, and she knew that her husband would want, would practice forgiveness. But she didn't say it to suggest that Tyler Robinson, if he is the killer, of course, he has to have his day in court, and he's innocent until proven guilty. But if he's convicted, nothing that she said means that he shouldn't be punished. for it. And that's why I just don't understand. I've heard so many people on the right, on the distant right, moaning and groaning about, oh, she forgave him. Oh, that's just not, yeah. Uh, like presuming to speak for this widow. You know, excuse me, you didn't lose the love of your life a mere 2 weeks prior. You don't get to tell this person how to go about their grieving process. It really troubles me. It bothers me to see this happen. And like I said yesterday, saying that she was throwing up devil horns, what have you. I don't know. And yeah, look, it's interesting to go look at their family connections and if you want to say that their parents both have certain connections that you might call deep state, that's fine. That doesn't mean that she didn't lose her husband. That doesn't mean that she and her husband weren't in love. I dare you to go watch any of the videos of them together, and tell me they're just acting. Tell me they're just pretending to be fond of each other. That they're just pretending to enjoy each other's company so much and to have so much obvious love for one another. The thing about saying things like that, saying like I've heard people assert, just, oh well, she went and gave this speech, and there were all these pyrotechnics. I agree, the pyrotechnics were terrible. They did not belong. There's a lot of problems with the way the memorial was held. I can understand critiquing those the fact that there were pyrotechnics before every speaker, and that in some ways it became more of a political rally than an actual memorial or whatever. By the way, this is not this is, in case you were wondering, this is not my this isn't my car, so this don't attribute this to me. All right, I forswear this little, what is it? This little hanger-on thing. I think it's a scent thing. Something to make the car smell a little bit better. But anyway, it's like I guess that people out there just think that if somebody is on television, if somebody is famous or semi-famous or whatever, and I understand feeling this way, like they're not really real. They don't really have they don't really have souls the way that we do. They're probably just I don't know. We're tempted to see people who are famous in a particular way, and I think there's something about Erika Kirk's presence and her demeanor and her way of talking, and the sort of the expressions that her countenance, the way that she expresses herself. I think that I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think a lot of women are jealous. I think, a lot of women are jealous of her. I'll just say that. And I see like they're taking out, like they see her as, the snobby homecoming queen or head cheerleader who bullied them in high school, and now, that like now they've projected all of this hatred that they have over of, this particular, queen bee from their past, this mean girl from their past, and they've projected all of these things onto Erika Kirk because she looks a certain way, and talks a certain way, presents herself a certain way, and because she was a beauty queen. But as for the men, I don't know. I don't know how to explain. For a lot of the men, it's sort of like oh well. I don't usually. Boy, here I am saying something that's going to be weird for me to say. I don't usually go after men for being misogynistic or whatever. But I think maybe men see this girl that they think is just a ditz because she's blonde, and and they just say, okay, all right, why don't you just sit down and go home and take care of your kids. This is what a certain non-heterosexual columnist on the dissident right said. I'm summing this up. Or he said he took issue with her showing forgiveness. I'm talking about a non-heterosexual, non-Christian member of the dissident right, and he just said something like, "Well, I think maybe she should just stop speaking and just go home and just take care of her kids and just shut the hell up," something like that. I mean, I think for men who just think they're seeing through the looking glass, think they're discovering all this stuff because they're digging, into various aspects of their past and their family connections and what have you. Who just, again, see her as a ditz, a bimbo, and I definitely don't think that she's a ditz at all, and I think she seems to be a very capable person, and I don't think that she forgave her husband's killer out of some womanly softness, that was, that a man would know better than to fall for. I didn't get that. I just don't get that feeling. I didn't get the feeling that she wanted to forgive him, and I didn't get the feel that she wanted to forgive her husband's killer, and I didn't get the feeling that, she really, really deep down in her heart had forgiven him, but she just, it's sort of a fake it till you make it type of deal. She told the world that she forgave her husband's killer because she knew that, we're told to love our enemies. That doesn't mean you don't fight your enemies, okay? All you anti-Christians out there. When a Christian says, it's important to love your enemies, that doesn't mean that a Christian is a pacifist. That doesn't mean that a Christian is just enjoined to roll over and let the enemy win. Christendom ruled the West for centuries. Okay? For centuries, every single country in the Western world was Christian. It was the law of the land. Some of them were Catholic, some of them were Protestant, but it was the law of the land. To base one's sense of morality and law and so forth on Christian principles and notions. And all the time when the West was Christian, the West did not just fall to its enemies. It did not say, "Oh well, we've got to love our enemies, so we're told to turn the other cheek. So that means let's just roll over and let ourselves be taken over by the Muslims, or some other group. Let's just let's just let them have their way because we're pacifists and God wants us to just get walked all over and get ruled over by our enemies." No. Some of you are operating from a very I don't know if the ones I'm talking about are actually out there watching this video, but some of you are operating from a very fundamentally wrong-headed perspective of Christianity. And so this whole collective groan that a lot of y'all made when she said that she forgave him. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. You don't get it. And you think it's bad PR. You think it's like offering offering an olive branch to the liberals out there, to the murderous lefties out there who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. No, it's not doing anything of the kind. It's a show of strength. And, it's also a way of not letting yourself be utterly consumed. It's part of the grieving process to forgive your enemies. And Erika Kirk sat up there and said part of Charlie's mission, what he saw himself doing, was reaching out to the lost boys out there, reaching out to the young men who were directionless, who were rudderless, who'd essentially been orphaned by our postmodern society with its absolute lack of absolutes, except for all the absolutes that come with wokeness and political correctness, i.e. anti-whiteness and anti-maleness and so forth and so on. Anyway, I've sort of lost my place. I've talked a bit more than I thought I would about all this. This is getting to be a lengthy little rant. I should have asked for your indulgence at the beginning. I didn't know I would be going on quite like this. I would say cut Erika Kirk some slack. I would say try to get over your petty reasons for what I think are your petty reasons for hating her or for holding something against her. Try to get over that and try to understand you're talking about a widow here. You're talking about somebody in a very vulnerable state of mind, but who's still out there on display to be judged by assholes like you. You know, she's putting herself out there, talking, giving speeches. You know, like I said, at that that Charlie Kirk memorial service, she didn't look like she wanted to be there. And God, the people who were like shit talking her for giving Donald Trump a hug, like implying some unsavory things there. I just don't understand some of you people. I just don't. You know, and say okay, so he gives her a big she gives him a big hug. He's a fatherly sort of figure at that moment. She is heartbroken. She's desolated. He's a strong male, figure, and so of course she's going to feel inclined to hug him. You know, the way that a grieving daughter or a grieving wife would hug her father after losing her husband. You know, all this stuff suggesting that like showing some Tinder thing, like it's a match, and with her on one side and Donald Trump on the other side. It's just so repellent, so disgusting, so abhorrent. And of course they're going to be, they're going to be disgusting people out there saying disgusting things, but it shouldn't be you all. It shouldn't be you all. So have some respect. Oh, and people saying, what? Well, look, she's smiling and laughing at the funeral. I thought she was supposed to be sad, but look, in this picture, she's smiling. Have you ever been to a funeral or a memorial? No, it's the mourners there aren't just crying and weeping and beating their breasts all the time. They're, at a memorial service, usually somebody gets up and starts talking about the person who's being memorialized and bringing up things that are amusing about that person or that or whatever, and people laugh, and it's cathartic. It's part of the experience. Honestly, the whole idea that there was something wrong with it's like people just want to find, people are nitpicking. People are wanting to find things to hate, wanting to find reasons to hate Erika Kirk, and I just think it's very out of line. And call me a simp if you want, but I think if you're one of the people who's doing this, I think you should really reconsider. And just as I said, have a little bit more respect. All right, that's where I'll end this rant.